I had 3 relationships during my university years, each with a different outcome. So much so that I'm not sure if I'm a bad guy or not. Speaking of which, during my freshman year, I was still an indecisive single dog. Because in high school, my mom strictly ordered, no dating. It's unreliable and will delay your studies. For 3 years in high school, I strictly adhered to the rules, even rejecting a girl, although when she confessed her feelings, I struggled hard to keep my heart in check. This led to the lingering influence of that rule during my freshman year. But after my sophomore year, all the way to graduation, this situation frequently became urgent. Apparently, I had hit the peach blossom luck, and surprisingly, there were 3 girls, one from my school, one from another school, and one from society, who all became options to be my girlfriend one after another. 1. The girl from my school is a junior, 1 year below me. We are in the same department, but different majors. The junior sister did not have a secret crush on me. Instead, she was putting in all her effort to openly pursue me. The reason I did not choose the junior sister is something that boys would understand, but girls might not. Boys all know that one of the topics discussed during late-night talks in the dormitory is, of course, girls. All the girls in the class would discuss every girl, unless a certain girl's boyfriend not only dated someone from the same group, but was also one of those who participated in the late-night talks. As long as someone starts, the pretty girls from the same department must also be discussed. Even the eye-catching, attractive, and showy girls in the entire school, even if their names can't be recalled, must be discussed. Before this junior sister launched her targeted pursuit of me, she was never a topic of discussion during our late-night talks in the dormitory. So, do you understand now? If you still don't understand, let me recreate a late-night talk scene for you in detail. Speaking of which, the 3rd guy in our dorm, who claims to be a veteran in the dating scene, has this advice for picking up girls: no matter what kind of girl you meet, you should boldly compliment her. I asked, what if I meet a high-scoring beauty? Old 3, just compliment her directly: you're really beautiful, you're really sexy, you're really Coca-Cola. I asked, what about a girl who has an average appearance, but a good figure? Old 3, just compliment her figure: your figure is really good, you're voluptuous and alluring. If you don't go for a fashion show, the runway will be very upset. Old 1 asked, what about a girl who barely passes? Old 3, find her strengths to compliment: you're really gentle, you're really delicate, your hair looks good, you're lively and cute. Old 1 asked, what about a girl with low scores? Old 3, just keep complimenting: you're really kind, you're really brave, your values are very correct. Finally, I asked, what if I meet a very ugly girl, and there's really nothing to compliment? Old 1 interjected, you're very safe. Old 3 laughed and scolded, Old 1, that's an insult, not a compliment. The elder brother asked, so how are you going to compliment her? The 3rd brother replied, just compliment her as usual: you're very patriotic. So you see, even though the term appearance value didn't exist at that time, the principle that appearance is justice definitely existed. The 3rd brother firmly executed this routine and complimented many girls. I want to urgently gather those girls who were complimented by the 3rd brother for being patriotic, and calmly explain the truth to them. I'm afraid the 3rd brother would be urgently beaten to death. Well, whether I follow the 3rd brother's routine or set it aside, I have to compliment the junior sister like this: you are lively and cute, and you also move forward courageously. Anyway, the first time the junior sister approached me, she left me with this impression. 2. The junior sister pulled me out from the vast sea of single dogs, ostensibly because of my reflection paper, but secretly it was probably a well-planned targeted approach. Not to be modest, I was quite eye-catching during my university days. First of all, the collagen content in my face is sufficient, and I haven't really grown crooked. Secondly, those things on the fixed track are quite outstanding. First, in the architectural major courses, participated in the campus debate competition. Best third speaker, participated in the campus song competition. Second prize. The last point is very important, which is that I am particularly good at making money. This can explain the reason for target locking. Let's focus on the incident of the self-criticism letter. The situation is like this. I am what you call a small-town problem solver. My family is not well off, and I can understand my parents, so as soon as I entered university, I started thinking about working to earn money and share a bit of my living expenses. By my sophomore year, my airbrush skills had improved somewhat, and I could take on jobs from real estate companies. At that time, computer graphics were not yet developed, and all the architectural advertisements for real estate companies relied on hand drawing. Although I am still a university student, my quotes for this kind of drawing have already exceeded the market average. If it's a human perspective architectural rendering, it's about 2,000 yuan each. If it's a bird's-eye view architectural rendering, it's about 3 to 5,000 yuan each. At that time, the real estate market was booming, and you all know that. There were 3 famous shopping malls in Beijing at that time: Yangshuo, Blue Island, and Seat. When I was at my peak, my architectural drawings, which were real estate advertisements, were displayed in all 3 malls. So, when standing at the wind's mouth, even pigs can fly. As a pig, I can truly relate to that. Once, I took on a job, stayed up for several nights to draw 2 pieces for someone, and earned over 5,000. You can calculate for yourselves, in an era when evening newspapers were still sold on the streets, whether this amount is worth bragging about. I had to brag, without a second thought. I bought a train ticket, packed my backpack, and headed straight for the Inner Mongolia grasslands. I just wanted to see what the sky is vast, the wilderness is boundless. And the wind blows the grass low to reveal the cattle and sheep really looks like. I traveled alone in Inner Mongolia for more than a week, and it was amazing. But returning to school was not so great. My homeroom teacher summoned me. Is this how you skip classes? Mixing main courses, elective courses, and everything else together. Write a self-criticism. I had no choice, I just wrote it. It's not a big deal. I wrote a reflection letter in classical Chinese, deeply contemplating the harmful effects of skipping classes from the depths of my soul. The homeroom teacher took the reflection paper, raised an eyebrow, and his eyes widened. All right, you really are something. How about this, next time in calculus class, you read it aloud to the whole class. I was still puzzled, I thought I wrote it quite well. Upon reflection, I realized I had miscalculated. The homeroom teacher teaches math, and even his Mandarin has a rustic flavor. He's not teaching language or design. This is a disaster. The east wind blows, the war drums beat. Who's afraid of reading a reflection? I, Xiao Fei, honestly stood on the podium and read my reflection paper in front of the whole class. In midsummer July, Inner Mongolia is lush. The wind blows the grass low, revealing cattle and sheep. My heart drifts in dreams. With a brush in hand, I exchange it for silver. My backpack has no sword. On the westward journey, lost in thought, I ponder the unknown. The sky is a chessboard, the stars are the pieces, tilting 1,000 miles of misty clouds. My mind is clear and bright. Green covers the canvas, cattle and sheep add the finishing touch. Bending the bow to shoot the eagle is truly credible. Dreams return with the sound of drums. I am quite satisfied, and I did not intend to skip class. I will not make this a precedent, and I advise against learning from the reckless behavior of others. Respecting teachers and earnestly helping friends, I ask for forgiveness from my teachers and friends for my past mistakes, which I deeply regret. I had just read a few lines when the girls in the specialized classroom, who have a low threshold for humor, couldn't help but laugh. Next, I was constantly interrupted by the sounds of teasing and applause. After finishing, I bowed to both the teacher and my classmates, and the audience erupted in applause. The homeroom teacher was at a loss, wanting to maintain a stern demeanor, but unable to suppress a laugh. In this way, I managed to get through it somehow. Good news doesn't leave the house, but bad news travels 1,000 miles. This rather attention-grabbing incident of the reflection paper reached the ears of the junior sister. The junior sister found an opportunity to take advantage of the situation. One afternoon, the junior sister, lightly made up, stood harmlessly at the door of the specialized classroom, particularly well-behaved and polite, asking, "Excuse me, is the senior brother who wrote the self-criticism here?" 3. The senior brother writing the self-criticism looked at the junior sister with a face full of despair. The junior sister next to me crossed her legs, pinched her fingers elegantly, and leisurely cracked sunflower seeds. Fei Ge, I think you should just agree to me. I glanced at the desk, which was piled high with snacks that the junior sister brought back, after taking a stroll outside following my rejection. Of course, this isn't a bribe, these snacks can't buy me off. They are just for her own consumption. The junior sister's subtext was, if you don't agree, I'll just sit next to you, reading and eating snacks. This bold move attracted the likes and attention of the entire class. Because of the self-criticism, there were also a few classmates who were gloating. And their expressions translated to, evil people have their own evil people to deal with. I calculated that if I finished all these snacks, it would probably be dark outside. Of course, the progress of the situation wasn't as explosive as you might think. The junior sister wasn't forcing me to sell myself and agree to be her boyfriend, but rather to take over her position. As a literature enthusiast, not long after entering university, the junior sister volunteered to become the president of the literature club. After all, in university, the vibrant positions with benefits and the ones that attract girls are not the tough and thankless role of the literature club president, so hardly anyone cares about it. The junior sister, eager to make her mark, first organized an essay competition. There weren't many submissions, and as fate would have it, I submitted an essay and won first prize. On the day of the award ceremony, I was out working. And it was my friend, who went to collect the award for me. The junior sister had never seen me, only remembered my name. As a result, the classical Chinese reflection essay incident became widely known, which caught the attention of the junior sister. The junior sister said, "Brother, your writing is so good, and you have a background in classical Chinese, you should be the president of the literature club." I absolutely hated that phrase, background in classical Chinese. I said, "Sister, if you want to shift the blame, go ahead, but do you think I look like a pot?" The junior sister smiled and said, "It's not shifting blame, it's about being overwhelmed. You can be the president, and I'll be the editor-in-chief, and I'll do more work. That's not shifting blame." I said, "Having a bit of writing skill is just like having a knife. A knife is sharp, but it is not a commander. A knife can kill, but it cannot organize a killing." The junior sister smiled slightly and said, "Wow, the taste of Gu Long. I just hate Gu Long to death." I said, "I won't be the president." "Sister, how about this? I promise that as long as you organize a writing competition, I will submit an entry starting from 3,000 words. Can you manage to carry snacks back to the dormitory to eat?" The junior sister smiled slightly and said, "I'll eat here, it's more appetizing. I just hate snacks to death." After a few rounds, I realized that the junior sister's persistence was definitely holding on to the Green Mountain without letting go. There was no choice, we had to enter the bargaining phase. I said, "Sister, you should still be the president, and I'll take another role. Can you manage to carry snacks back to the dormitory to eat?" The junior sister smiled slightly and said, "No way. Your writing is good, and it wouldn't make sense for me to take your words." I said, "Who says Liu Bang has to be better at pursuing people than Xiao He, better at planning than Zhong Liang, better at leading troops than Han Xin, better at fighting than Fan Kuai, and better at eating raw meat?" The junior sister smiled slightly and said, "Wow, not only is your writing good, but your knowledge of history is also deep." I finally got scared of the junior sister's slight smile. I simply buried my head in drawing and ignored her. I thought to myself, if you, a little girl, can be so shameless, then why can't I be shameless back? The junior sister really ate snacks until it got dark. Surprisingly, everyone in the class wasn't hungry at all, they were all waiting to watch the grand finale. The junior sister finally spoke up, "Fei Ge, I'm not in a hurry, you can think about it some more. I have no classes tomorrow afternoon, I'll come back then." The kind junior sister even added, "Sisters, what snacks do you want? I'll bring them for you tomorrow." Her group of newly claimed senior sisters all started to order with smiles on their faces. I realized that this girl can say it and can also do it. No choice but to bargain again. The grand finale is that the junior sister continues to be the president, and I will be the chief editor. The junior sister is overjoyed and triumphantly leaves. A girl in the class who is not very observant said, "Oh no, there will be no snacks tomorrow." Another girl with a deeper understanding said, "Maybe in the future, we will have snacks every day." The even more oblivious third one said, "Oh, old 5, the next key move is probably for you to compliment her." The even more oblivious first one said, "Old 3, do you think we still need old 5 to compliment her next?" 4. Next, the junior sister's range of activities expanded. And she would directly come to knock on doors off campus. It was found out that the third one sold out my doghouse. I achieved economic independence in the second semester of my sophomore year, and even rented a place off campus, just wanting to enjoy some freedom. Actually, it was just a small room in the fourth courtyard, and the rent was very cheap. There is no indoor bathroom. If you want to use the toilet, you need to walk 200 meters into the alley. There is no shower. If you want to take a bath, you have to go to the bathhouse at the alley entrance. There is no heating in winter. You need to make a stove yourself and remember to poke the chimney outside. With such touching conditions, the landlady was still telling me, "This is a house passed down from my ancestors. My family were Banner people, and we were from the upper 3 banners." If we talked any longer, the old lady would probably start showing off her tattoos. I was quite kind and didn't remind the old lady that the Qing dynasty has long fallen. I just silently took out 6 months' rent. What's even more touching is that, despite these conditions, the junior sister was determined to move in. She was met with my strict defenses. The junior sister is really lively and adorable, and she is also very forward, but at that time, I still wanted to find someone I could directly compliment. That is to say, "You are really beautiful, you are really sexy, you are really Coca-Cola." Then, I encountered the persistent pursuit of my junior sister once again. Well, love is not just about running a literary club together. It's not about you sitting next to me with your legs crossed, delicately holding sunflower seeds, saying, "Fei Ge, I think you should agree to me, and then it will succeed." The junior sister tried hard for a while, but to no avail. And then she gave up. After all, love has a veto power. Wish her happiness. Hope she finds a happiness that is much greater than just hanging out with me. But not a happiness that comes from cracking sunflower seeds. But if you can crack out a happiness, then hurry up and buy some sunflower seeds. Because this determination of cracking sunflower seeds will be liked by someone, and some will really like it. Yes, when the junior sister was persistent, I hated the classical Chinese skills, hated Jiu Long, hated snacks, but I never hated that smile with pursed lips. 5. My girlfriend in college, of course, was not someone I met while eating sunflower seeds, but rather someone I met while dancing at a club. I attended a university outside Ziximen in Beijing, which is only 1 stop away from the Minzu University. Every weekend there was a dance party on campus. But I preferred club dancing and did not like ballroom dancing. At our school's dance parties, after playing a dozen ballroom dance songs, they would play a disco song at the Minzu University. It was the opposite. After several disco songs, they would play a ballroom dance song, probably because there are more ethnic minority students there. So on weekends, I would rather walk 1 stop to go clubbing at the Minzu University, where I met Gam. Gam is a Tibetan girl. She was also the kind of girl I wanted to find at that time, someone I could compliment directly. She was the type from the third brother approach, where I could say, "You are really beautiful, you are really sexy, you are really Coca-Cola." You know, in the disco, that's not called chatting, it's called yelling to the sky, and you have to rely on shouting to communicate. Gamu shouted in my ear, "Have you been to our Tibet?" I shouted in Gamu's ear, "I've been there once, for sketching." Gamu shouted, "Sketching. What is sketching?" I shouted, "It's drawing." Gamu's eyes lit up a bit, "Can you draw?" I nodded, "That's what I learned." Gamu shouted loudly, "Is our Tibet beautiful?" I shouted back, "It's so beautiful." Gamu leaned in and shouted in my ear, "Am I beautiful?" I strained my throat and shouted, "You're a contender." Gamu was a bit confused. Compete? Compete in what? I laughed and shouted, "It's just that you're as beautiful as Tibet." Gamu laughed happily. I really enjoy this kind of shouting to the sky, it's addictive. When Gamu shouted with her mouth close to my ear, her breath would make my ears itch, sometimes her lips would even brush against my ear. That kind of itch. I have to endure it, otherwise it really itches. But after the itch, I want to feel it again. When we are shouting to the sky like this, Gamu also feels itchy. The breath I exhale also makes her ears itch. She also tries to avoid this itch. But every time after dodging the tickle, Gam would give my ear back to me. So, Gam came to my little room to relieve each other's itch. 6. With winter vacation approaching, Gam said to me, I'm going home, Xiao Fei, do you want to go to Tibet with me? I said, no. I have to go home for the new year during winter vacation. My mom has arranged a blind date for me. Gam looked a bit confused. Blind date? A blind date, is that finding you a girlfriend? I nodded, that's right. Gam got anxious. I want to take you home to meet my dad. I held back my laughter and pretended not to understand. What do you want to see your dad for? He doesn't know me. Gam became even more anxious. I'm your girlfriend. My dad knows I'm your girlfriend. If your mom doesn't know, you should tell her quickly. I could hardly hold back my laughter. So I had to remain silent. Gamu kicked me hard and said, Are you going? Are you going? This is Gamu. She is different from all the girls around me. She doesn't beat around the bush or speak in sarcasm, she says whatever she thinks, and what she says is exactly what she thinks. I nodded vigorously and said, yes, of course I'm going. Gamu was still angry and wanted to kick me again. I quickly said, I was just joking with you. Gamu was still angry and continued to want to kick me. I quickly shouted, my mom knows Gamu. She knows I have a girlfriend. She knows my girlfriend is Gamu. Gamu stopped kicking, although it was a bit late. She confirmed that I was just teasing her. Gamu smiled, revealing her white teeth and sparkling eyes, just like Lake Manasarova next to Mount Kailash. That is one of the 3 sacred lakes in Tibet, with crystal clear blue water. 7. On Barkhor Street in Lhasa. Gamu took me into a Tibetan restaurant. Gamu said to the Tibetan girl in the restaurant, Gongju Dele. Tujiki. I only understood the beginning, good evening, and the ending, thank you, which Gamu had taught me as a little bit of Tibetan. In between, the two of them chatted away in Tibetan for quite a while, laughing as they talked. When they laughed, the Tibetan girl glanced at me a few times and then laughed even harder while covering her mouth. This is not fair. When the Tibetan girl turned to leave, I grabbed Gamu's hand. What did you say to her about me? Gamu tilted her head and thought for a moment, laughing as she did so, tears of laughter coming out. Gamu said, I didn't say much. I told her that I brought home a little pony from the wild, a pony that can dance and paint. The little pony is next to my school, in a broken house that's only big enough to fit 2 yaks. Gamu added, I also said, we are like those 2 yaks. After saying that, Gamu laughed heartily. Occasionally, the Tibetan New Year and the Spring Festival fall on the same day, but that year the Spring Festival was first, and the Tibetan New Year was later. Gamu said, first celebrate your New Year in Lhasa, then come to Gongbu Jiangda to celebrate my New Year. On New Year's Eve, I called my mom, and she was very happy. Actually, as long as my mom hears the words girlfriend, she will be overjoyed, regardless of whether the girl is tall, short, fat, or thin, or whether she eats meat or vegetables. After chatting, I handed the phone to Gamu. Gamu was caught off guard, nervously pointed at the phone, then at his own nose, and opened his mouth, not knowing what to say. My mom's voice came through the phone, hello, hello. Gamu became even more nervous. I whispered, Gamu, just say whatever you want to say. Gamu nodded seriously and said on the phone, Mom, Loza sang, Happy New Year. It's Gamu. I'm celebrating the new year with Little Pony. I can imagine my mom's expression on the other end of the phone. After hanging up the phone, it was Gam's turn to grab my hand and say, What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at? I said, I'm laughing because my mom owes you money. Gam didn't understand. I said, you call my mom Amma, and according to the rules of my hometown, my mom will have to give you a big red envelope right away. Gam asked seriously, so I have to call her Amma from now on, and there will be a red envelope every time. I stopped laughing. I was stunned. Gam's dad liked me very much during the first meal. I was completely overwhelmed by him. I sang and danced with Gam's family. Gam's dad was good at singing and dancing. Anyway, I couldn't sing better than him, dance better than him, or drink more than him. The next day I asked Gam, why didn't you stop, Dad? Gam said, my dad says that people who don't sing well, don't dance well, and don't drink well are not good people. When you get drunk, Dad thinks you're a good person and likes you. This time it was my turn to be serious like Gam. You can't be a good person every time you drink, right? Gam tilted her head, thought for a moment, and nodded at me. You have to be a good person. I laughed. Gam was also learning how to trick and tease me like her little pony. But she wasn't learning well. It was obvious she wasn't learning well. So the answer was obvious. 8. As summer approached, Gam and I became increasingly sad. Gamu is at the National College, not studying for an undergraduate degree, and plans to study abroad in Switzerland next. She has an uncle in Switzerland. As for why Gam has an uncle in Switzerland, she doesn't say, and I don't ask. I certainly know why. I've been to Tibet twice, and have read about Tibetan history. Summer has come. And Gam and I have started to argue. All sorts of arguments, all because of trivial matters. We have an unspoken understanding, but we both know that we are arguing on purpose, just to argue. Gam and I are using the arguments, both wanting to escalate them to turn them into an excuse. We can use this excuse to avoid something, or rather, to explain something. That is, the different spaces, combined with the dilution of time, the sea accumulated by the two of us, the stone piled up by the two of us, can ultimately wither and rot. 9. Thinking of a sea, holding on to a stone, I once welded shut the door to love. I still make a lot of money, and I still go clubbing, but I no longer go to the Nationalities College. I have been to all the nightclubs in Beijing, JJ Club in Xinjiku, Best Club in Xishan, as well as Tianyangyang, NASA, Dongfang No. 1, Kiss, Lightman, Alien. When I go clubbing, I don't shout to the sky with others. Because no matter how much I shout, I can't get into the mood. I also don't drink alcohol when I go clubbing. Once I touch alcohol, I can't stop and will inevitably get drunk. I have quit drinking. If you have ever been in this state, as someone who has been there, I can now tell you that there are two antidotes. One antidote is time, but no one knows how much of it you need. The other antidote is a woman, but no one knows what kind of woman it will be. I certainly know now. But I didn't know back then. Old K didn't know either, but he knew that you had to at least try this antidote. Old K was someone I picked up while backpacking in the Alai. You know, backpackers refer to the chance companionship during the journey as picking up people. After returning to Beijing, Old K and I became friends. Old K is quite a bit older than me and owns a bar. We are all like-minded backpackers who love to gather at Old K's bar, and sometimes we even hold regular parties. It's just that when the lights go out, friends drink while watching a slideshow of a certain backpacker's own photos. Yes, that was in the film era, before digital cameras made their debut. This time, the one making the debut is me. To show the slides, you need an assistant to help you take the slides out of the album, put them in the card box in order, and then help you take the finished slides out of the card box, and put them back in the album in order. Old K designated Xiao Meng. Regardless of whether there are dates or not, just hit it with a stick first. Of course, Old K has ulterior motives. He wants me to try the antidote. Xiao Meng was very meticulous and also at a disadvantage. She was busy for more than 2 hours, carefully working, with no time to drink or focus on looking at the photos. After turning on the lights, I went to the bar and asked for a bottle of beer, handing it to Xiao Meng to thank her. Xiao Meng smiled slightly. Brother Fei, this is amazing. This way of playing is so enviable. She smiled brightly, a bit like the sun after being exposed on the plateau. I said, thank you, you can play like this too. Xiao Meng gathered her long hair and asked, so where do you plan to go next? Her long hair reached her waist, a bit like. I said, we should go to Xinjiang. Xiao Meng clapped her hands, great. Can I join you then? Count me in. Her straightforwardness was a bit like. Sigh, I can't keep saying a bit like anymore. But I still hesitated, because my favorite way to travel is solo backpacking. Xiao Meng pouted. Fei Ji, you were the center of attention just now, and I quietly helped you by working on the slides for 2 hours. I thought to myself. Maybe I should agree for now, after all. I know a rule, many people shout about wanting to travel with you, but when it comes down to it, most of them are just talking. I countered, will you have time then? Xiao Meng smiled proudly. I have nothing, but one thing I have plenty of is time. I nodded, my tone vague. All right, you can count as one. Unexpectedly, Xiao Meng extended her pinky swear, it's a deal. What do you mean? Are you asking me to play house with you? Old K wasn't idle, you two wait a moment, just a moment. He ran over to dim the bar lights, and shone a spotlight on me and Xiao Meng. With everyone watching, if I didn't reach out, they really wouldn't let me off the hook. Amidst the cheers, we made a pact. Old K leaned in with a mischievous smile. Xiao Meng, this guy isn't short on cleverness, just on a girlfriend. Among the people who were just cheering, there are several married and unmarried ones who want to take him. But he still looks down on them. Why don't you give it a try? Xiao Meng didn't respond, just smiled with her lips pressed together. This smile with her lips pressed together was a bit like. I can't keep being a bit like this. I punched Old K, get lost. Old K waved his hand and said, I'm leaving, while also adding, you have to help someone all the way, right? Xiao Meng, this guy likes plump girls and long-haired girls, which means plump long-haired girls. Everything is ready, Xiao Meng, you are all set. You have to think of a way to take advantage of the favorable wind. I can only help you up to this point. Xiao Meng responded cheerfully, Old K. I will work hard. I will definitely work hard. This, marching forward, is somewhat like an upgraded version of. I can't keep being somewhat like this anymore. I grabbed a bottle of beer and took a big sip. Xiao Meng, do you go clubbing? Xiao Meng nodded. I've been a few times. It's pretty chaotic, so I don't want to go anymore. I smiled and said, then I'll take you to a club that guarantees it's not chaotic and guarantees it's clean. Are you going? Xiao Meng nodded. Let's go. 10. In a corner of the club, Xiao Meng bit her lip and murmured something. I couldn't hear clearly, so I had to move my ear closer. Xiao Meng still didn't dare to turn up the volume. Fei Ji, is this the disco that guarantees no chaos and cleanliness? Then what was the dirty disco you went to like? I pulled my ears back, not because they were itchy, but because the roots of my ears were red. On the high platform in the center of the disco, there was a girl who got drunk, dancing and taking off her clothes. At least in this disco, this sudden display of spring light was truly the first time I had seen it. But I really couldn't explain it. It was completely a case of making things worse. I had no choice but to grab Xiao Meng's hand and squeeze out of the disco. Besides my hand, Xiao Meng also didn't dwell on what had just happened. She said, Fei Ji, come to my little shop next weekend. The little shop is on Nanlishi Road, and it's a cozy bookstore. When I entered, the store was playing the ending of Zhongchu's, Knowing the Warmth and Cold, Start Dancing in the Directionless Wind, or Tighten Your Shoelaces and Listen to the Distant Singing. I shouted loudly, Boss, is this song for sale? Little Meng joyfully came over and linked her arm with mine, saying, Yes, yes. Fei Ji, do you want coffee or tea? I asked, does tea cost money? Little Meng laughed heartily, it doesn't cost money, it costs people. I changed the topic. I also really like this song. Little Meng said, this song is a bit sad, the lyrics are too confusing. I shook my head, actually, at its core. This song has a strong flavor. The author is questioning himself whether to start dancing in the directionless wind, or to tighten the shoelaces and listen to the distant singing. It's like questioning whether to sink into the chaotic reality, or to tighten the shoelaces and follow the sound. It doesn't explicitly state where the destination is, but it does say to continue searching. This embeds a final stubbornness under the theme of confusion. Little Meng listened in a daze, stunned, and sighed, "Alas, I never went to college." I paused, unsure of how to respond, and could only drink tea in silence. Little Meng was very perceptive, smiling as she changed the topic. "No wonder old K said that they all want to take you in," and mentioned something about married and unmarried, and even said there are several. I almost choked. "Xiao Meng, can you not turn so sharply?" Xiao Meng sat down across from me. "No, Fei Ji, this style of yours is really quite attractive." I quickly explained, "Actually, I was just talking nonsense earlier to scare people, not to attract anyone." Xiao Meng laughed. "Then tell me, what's the difference between scaring people and attracting them?" This question was really hard to answer, so I could only counter, "Did I scare you? Did I attract you?" Meeting my gaze, Xiao Meng nodded repeatedly. "You scared me, and you attracted me." 11. And that's how we started. The beginning was simple, just like many years later, in Karen Mock's song Overcast, which says, "The beginning is always wonderfully indescribable. Everyone thinks that passion will never fade." Why is the beginning always so wonderfully indescribable? In the early stages of a relationship, no matter how much they do, both individuals are essentially doing the same thing, striving to showcase their own strengths to each other while also working to gather the strengths of the other. We often message each other to arrange a meal and chat about travel. Or ask, "Do you want to join for a hike in the suburbs of Beijing?" Or, "There's a performance by a Tang Dynasty band, do you want to listen?" One day, Xiaoming invited me to Guajia to eat crayfish, casually introducing me to her best friend, "My boyfriend, everyone calls him Xiaofei." I blurted out, "How come I didn't know about this?" Xiaoming replied, "After tonight, you'll know." Her friends all slammed the table and laughed heartily. 12. Yes, the beginning is always wonderfully indescribable. But this indescribable feeling has a limited shelf life. Xiao Meng opened a store, not to make money. Xiao Meng doesn't love studying, and she doesn't want to work either. Her father was at his wit's end. So he spent money to take over this store, hoping to give Xiao Meng something concrete to do. It's just to keep Xiao Meng occupied, so she doesn't spend all day doing nothing or getting influenced by bad company. As for making money, her family is not short of cash at all. That doesn't really matter. What does matter is paying for meals. When eating crayfish on Gui Street, I went to pay the bill, and the waiter pointed to Xiao Meng, saying she had already paid. I invited Lao Ke and a few friends to dinner, and when I went to pay, the waiter pointed to Xiao Meng, saying she had already paid. The brothers in the dorm shouted, insisting they must see, "You are really beautiful, you are really sexy, you are really Coca-Cola, Xiao Meng." When eating, I went to pay in advance, and the waiter pointed to Xiao Meng, saying she had already paid. I'm a bit skeptical. Xiao Meng is perceptive, but in this channel, she is quite dull. She is wealthier than I am. And I know she does this for my own good. But I don't know, and she doesn't know either, that I feel awkward about it. I don't know if it's my uncertainty, if it's the idea of strong man and weak woman playing tricks on me, if it's just keeping face while suffering, or if it's an inherent pride I can't shake off. She doesn't know, simply because the day doesn't understand the darkness of the night. Moreover, there was a chat. With half a year left until graduation, I started sending out resumes in advance. Xiaoming said, "Phage, can you give me a copy of your resume?" I smiled blandly, "What do you mean? Do I need to submit a resume to work as a waiter for you?" Xiaoming laughed it off, "I'll have my dad arrange a job for you." I looked up and gave Xiaoming a questioning face. Xiaoming shrugged it off, "You're making it too complicated. Just give your resume to my dad, it's just a few phone calls." Only then did I realize. After realizing it, I suddenly found that the smile on Xiaoming's face had finally created a distance between us. In the same city, some people have to grit their teeth and work hard to survive, while others have to humbly beg for dignity in order to live with a bit of quality. Yet some can have it easily, completely unaware of the struggles of the former. It's like the day does not understand the darkness of the night. Xiaoming does not understand the difficulties of those who strive, nor the dignity of those who work hard. It's not really her fault. She is simply too far removed from that kind of life. And I must maintain my pride and my fighting spirit. It's not really my fault either. This is not as simple as men care about their image. I cannot accept the easy availability of this flavor, because once I accept it, it will inevitably exert its influence, slowly bending the entire trajectory of my future life and personality. You can say this is a kind of competition. Or you can say it is a kind of stubbornness, but for young me, this proud stubbornness is precious. Without this stubbornness, what do I use to impress others? What do I use to attract others? I certainly know that Xiaoming means well for me. But Xiaoming doesn't understand, if I lose this proud stubbornness, will the person you see in the bar, who you think is radiant, still be the one you willingly let yourself be impressed and attracted by? Day does not understand the darkness of night. Daytime is not wrong, and nighttime is not wrong either. But can day and night hold hands and coexist? This question cannot be taken lightly, because it goes straight to the core. This question must be taken seriously, because if we go further, we cannot avoid this core. 13. Next, like the lyrics in Cloudy Day, the doubts and blind spots in love and desire are so obvious, they are just waiting to be revealed. Little Dream is adorable. She is, you are really beautiful, you are really sexy, you are really Coca-Cola. Little Dream likes me, and she is serious about it. Little Dream wants to recruit me, and she is serious about that too. The problem is, I suddenly don't want to be recruited anymore. Once stubbornness starts to overflow, it easily escalates. I irrationally believe that Little Dream only likes to listen to rock music, but she doesn't actually rock. I irrationally believe that Little Dream wants to go backpacking with me, but she doesn't quite understand what a true backpacker, or self-guided travel is. Finally, I raised my knife and called for a stop. When I proposed breaking up, Little Dream didn't seem sad at all, and she wasn't even surprised. But Xiaoming has her own stubbornness. She doesn't give up, still pays attention to my life, still dresses beautifully for parties, still wants to invite me to watch movies together, and still recommends a CD to me. It seems that Xiaoming did not force me. But this seemingly calm insistence is, in fact, a suffocating kind of coercion. It forces me, and it also forces herself. This suffocating environment not only makes me feel awkward, but also feels airtight. Xiaoming seems not to be sad, but in reality, she is heartbroken. Old K couldn't help but throw me a line. At first, I thought you and Xiaoming were a good match, so I made an introduction, but it turned into a mess. You little rascal. Don't play with people's beginnings. I nodded. You're right, I really am not a good person. Old K was both frustrated and angry, taking a big gulp of his drink. You really are not a good person. I nodded. You're right, I really am not a good person. I thought about the beginning of my relationship with Xiaoming. I saw Xiaoming's smile. And it felt a bit like the sun that has shone on the plateau. Seeing Xiaoming's long hair reaching her waist, it felt a bit like. Seeing Xiaoming being straightforward, it felt a bit like. Seeing Xiaoming's slight smile, it felt a bit like. Seeing Xiaoming's forward courage, it felt a bit like an upgraded version of. At that time, I made up my mind that I could no longer go on being a bit like this. That's how this relationship came to be. Old K helplessly said, you manage the killing and the burying, do you understand? I nodded. Old K sighed, you should at least think of a way to let the girl land softly, don't let her get hurt. I nodded, do you have a way for a soft landing? Teach me one. Old K shot me a glance, think for yourself. I added, also, a soft landing must be better than a hard landing, right? Old K opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but realized that anything he said would be pointless. I had no choice but to try a soft landing. 14. Soft landing, right? I'm going on a trip, to Xinjiang. I'm going to hide for a while, give us some breathing space, create some distance, and catch my breath. I went to a small shop, where they deliberately played songs by Meng Tingwei. How many good sisters do you have? Why does every sister marry tears? I almost chose to turn back and run away. No matter how I listen to this song, it sounds like a complaint against a scumbag. With a stiff upper lip, I walked into the small shop, and Xiao Meng made me a cup of tea. Fei Ji, can I go with you? I lowered my head. Xiao Meng extended her little finger towards me. I sighed. When we first met, we made a pact for this. Xiao Meng looked down at her toes. Fei Ji, you have to take me with you. I really want to travel with you. Maybe after we come back. I can let you go. I felt a pang in my nose. Xiao Meng added, and let myself go. I felt a strong emotion in my nose and nodded. In Xinjiang, we are like a couple. Like a couple who have had a quarrel. Like a couple going in opposite directions. In the Ili River Valley, Xiao Meng looked at the slowly setting sun and said, Fei Ji, will you still go to Old K's bar to show the Xinjiang slides? I nodded. Old K has already made an appointment with me. Xiao Meng clapped her hands. Then I'll go help you. I couldn't respond to that. Xiao Meng sighed softly. Can't you pretend once, deceive me once, or coax me once? Since I couldn't respond to the previous sentence, I couldn't respond to this one either. Watching the sunset in the Ili River Valley is one of the rituals for local weddings. Couples walk by, taking photos, laughing, and kissing in the warm glow of the sunset. Xiao Meng quietly watched the newcomers coming and going. Looking and looking. Suddenly, tears filled my eyes. The sunset still had a small red edge, about to disappear on the horizon. Xiao Meng smiled at me and said, Fei Ji, just treat it like playing truth or dare and you lost. You chose dare, and my challenge is to go on a honeymoon. To avoid letting Xiao Meng see my eyes, I reached out and gently pulled her into my arms. Xiao Meng turned her forehead and rubbed my chin, saying, it's a bit prickly. I quickly looked up to hold back my tears. Then I lowered my head and placed my chin back on Xiao Meng's forehead. The sun set, and it quickly became dark. I sighed. Xiao Meng, let go. Don't waste your youth in a war of attrition with me. Xiao Meng remained motionless. But I just want to spend it all on you. I am silent. Oh my, what should I do to cut off this sticky situation that I can't bear to cut, but must cut? My heart hardened. Stop insisting, there is no result. You are in pain. And I am also suffering. Little Dream remained motionless. I know you are in pain, I know you can't bear it. I know you no longer love me. Little Dream looked up. It's okay, just wait a little longer. I will soon stop liking you. She said this with a smile. After hearing this, I really wanted to cry. Written at the end. Some stories are not yet finished. Then let's just forget it. Those feelings over the years. It has become difficult to distinguish between true and false. Now this place is overgrown with weeds. No more flowers. Fortunately, in the past. Having your spring and autumn and winter and summer. They must be old now. Where are they? Fortunately, I once accompanied them to open